Hi there. My name is Felonious Ferris, and I'm here with my co-host Demigloom, and this is the Middle School GSA.
Hi everybody, I'm Demigloom, and I'm here with my co-host Felonious Ferris, and this is the Middle School GSA. You're supposed to say your pronouns.
Oh, right. You have to refer to me. My pronouns are they, them.
Yeah, and my pronouns, believe it or not, are she, her. Listen guys, our last episode did not do super well. It was a critical and commercial failure. It received 156 views in 2 weeks, a total of 12 likes, and one comment. One comment from Zane H saying, "This podcast saved my life and fixed my marriage. God bless." I don't believe you. I don't think I could save
I love
anybody's
you,
life,
Zane.
fix any marriage. I'm not capable of that. Maybe Felonious Ferris is, but not if I'm in the picture.
It's so nuts to me though that 156 people clicked on a video of us talking. That's crazy, and it makes me so happy.
I did market it fairly aggressively. I posted it on every single social media known to man. You could probably open up any app on your phone and look up at Middle School GSA, and I've created an account there, including but not limited to Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook. I've even did some promoting on 4chan, which obviously was met with a couple of slurs, and one or two people were like, "Oh, I'll listen to this podcast." And that's how I do. That's who I do it for. That's how I kickstarted the Brony Initiation podcast, my very first podcast ever, was just posting it on 4chan. So yeah, I think you'll be very happy with the audience we've accumulated. Now we didn't receive any comments at first. We got that last one like literally a day ago. But we did receive something much more interesting, something worth 1,000 comments in my opinion. And I'm about to play it right now. We had Discord user Warden, if you know, you know, as I'm told, send me this thing called GSA.mp3, and I was like, what the hell is this? And I guess I'm about to play it right now for everybody to hear.
You're on the fast lane to watching the best in entertainment. Middle School GSA.
Call now.
Bitch.
So yeah, we had that. This is me and Ferris's first reaction. We definitely have not heard this sound before. That definitely didn't happen.
Yep.
In all seriousness, when you first heard this sound, what was your initial reaction, Felonious Ferris?
I was kind of giddy, just because, like, even if they called us bitches or just bitch singular.
I don't think they called us bitch. I think that was just the end. They're just like, bitch. Like, yeah, bitch. Fuck yeah, bitch. I don't think it was supposed to be directed at us.
Wait. Okay. Hold on, I'm confused. Did you make the like intro thing, or did they make it?
What intro thing? The sounds?
Like, yeah.
No, they just sent that. That literally was just the raw MP3 file somebody sent to me. Someone who I didn't know.
Oh my god.
They were just like, yeah, I loved the podcast, and also here's this random sound file.
That's so cute.
You thought?
Oh my god.
You thought I made this? You thought I hired iDubbbz to talk on my fucking thing?
I wasn't sure. I thought that they made it at first, and then I was like, no, Demi probably made it. That's probably just our thing for voicemails. But that's so cool though.
Yeah, it's we connected with somebody. Somebody was inspired.
I love you.
Somebody was inspired
Warden.
to make that.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
We have an audience. It's great. This was also accompanied with the message, shout out to Tim, and I'm told that that's the most important part. I have no idea who Tim is. If Tim is somebody who's advocating for an ethnically homogenous state, I'm sorry for shouting them out. It's just kind of part of the deal. Anything Tim says is not necessarily the opinion of Demigloom or Felonious Ferris. Yeah. So that's that. We also have an announcement for all of our viewers. We started a Patreon. Do you wanna explain? Do you even remember what we do on Patreon?
I remember. You should probably give the details, but we have an uncucked version, which is just all the stuff that we cut out of the podcast.
Of episode 1.
Mostly, yeah, of episode 1. Maybe more episodes, but it's mostly just Demigloom saying insane stuff that is like episode 50 iceberg level, but just wasn't suitable for episode 1.
It was. Listen,
And-
those things were taken out of context and widely misunderstood by Felonious Ferris himself.
And we're also gonna be recording extra content to put on Patreon.
Yeah. So basically, if you're a fan of this show and you like listening to this podcast, I have an offer for you. You can listen to this podcast and give us money, which I think personally, I mean, it's two
Pretty
great
good.
things in one. It's a good deal. So you can go to patreon.com/middleschoolgsa today. For $3 a month, you will officially earn the title of a supporter. You will receive access to episodes as soon as they are finished, monthly bonus episodes, and credit and thanks at the end of every single episode. We will personally thank you for giving us money, and we'll also credit you and thank you in the description of every single Middle School GSA related upload on YouTube or any podcast platform. For $6 a month, however, if you're an insane person, you will receive all the previously mentioned benefits, as well as bi-weekly 15-plus minute bonus content. Now, essentially, for every episode that we record, there will also be a 15-minute conversation between Ferris and I that's recorded that most likely we wouldn't want to be put on YouTube publicly. So, you get the unhinged talking. Now, for episode 1, we did cut out around 12 minutes of content that ended up being released as its own thing for patrons. All patrons, including the $3 a month ones, will have access to that one. But moving forward, $6 a month will receive all the 15-minute bonus content for every episode that we upload. And $3 a month patrons will receive the monthly bonus episodes and not the 15-plus minute content. But obviously, $6 patrons receive all the stuff that the $3 patrons do as well. So essentially, if you like the show and you'd like to support us financially, you could do that. It's an option. And
I either of the levels, I will love you forever, eternally.
right. But you're not a real ally to the LGBTQ plus community unless you pay $6 a month for Middle School GSA.
It's true.
Yeah, you're not a real ally. But yeah, seriously, on a serious note, we appreciate everybody who listens to the show, everybody who leaves a comment, likes, or just listens. Even if you hate us, even if you're like, I hate all those people, but I'm listening for some reason, I appreciate it. I appreciate my voice being heard, and I'm sure Felonious Ferris feels the same.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I love you too.
yeah. So no pressure, but give us money now. Do it. You have
Yes.
to. Yeah, that's basically all we have before the topic, which is what? What are we talking about today?
We're talking about the Bill of Rights and how we would fix it.
Yeah, we're creating the woke Bill of Rights, basically. The transgender woke pronouns. We should call it the Bill of Pronouns.
Ooh.
The Bill of Pronouns. I think that's what we should call it. Basically, our founding fathers fought a great revolution and founded our country on some pretty good ideals, but also they had slaves, right? So fuck them.
And wooden teeth and powdered wigs.
Yeah, it was fucking
and
weirdos.
funny little ankle shoes and tall socks.
But pretty cool hats.
Pretty cool hats.
cool
Not
hats.
gonna lie.
Yeah, I definitely like the hats.
We should bring back like tricorn hats.
Yeah.
They're pretty fucking cool.
Honestly, I think hats peaked back then.
Yeah. But it can change. We can get back. We can make America great again. We can
Don't
bring
say
back
that.
cool hats.
Don't say that. Yeah. So for the I'm gonna read the sort of abridged, summarized versions of these amendments, with the exception of a few. We're reading the Bill of Rights. As I must credit, we have the Legal Information Institute, which is a small research group from Ithaca, New York. Law.cornell.edu. That's where I'm getting all of these definitions, with a few exceptions, which I will specify. So, you think we should just jump right into the First Amendment?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, so the First Amendment guarantees freedoms concerning religion, expression, assembly, and the right to petition. It forbids Congress from both promoting one religion over others and also restricting an individual's religious practices. It guarantees freedom of expression by prohibiting Congress from restricting the press or the right of individuals to speak freely. It also guarantees the right of citizens to assemble peaceably and to petition their government. So, yeah, we all know the First Amendment. It's freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of press. I think they kind of hit the nail on the head with this one. I don't think there's
Yeah.
I really don't think there's anything else that needs to be specified as far as the, freedom of speech goes. Do we have any issues with the First Amendment?
No, I think it's actually a really essential part of having a good democracy and a good society, where just this is kind of basic individual rights, and at basic levels prevents stuff like, well, doesn't prevent, because we ignore a fair part of it here in the United States.
In theory, should prevent.
Yes. If we followed it word for word, I think that we wouldn't have so many of the issues with, like, religious feuds, and
I think we would.
yeah.
I think we absolutely would. In a way, religious feuds are protected under the First Amendment.
Yes, but I think that it wouldn't be quite so intense, because, I mean, right now we have a huge portion of the country that thinks that the Bible should be like the law of the land. They want us to be a theocracy.
Yeah.
And we've kind of validated that by, like, putting "In God We Trust" on our currency, and having people swear on the Bible when they become congressmen, just stuff like that.
Don't you have to oath? Don't you have to make a biblical oath to do, like, a lot more shit in this country? Like, don't cops have to take a biblical oath too?
I'm not sure about cops, but you do have to, like, and it's not necessarily the Bible.
I know they provide
it.
alternatives for sure,
Yeah.
but there's only a
can,
couple.
like, use
There's
the
like 3 or
Torah
4
or-
options.
Yeah.
Quick, so if I'm an atheist, can I swear on, like, Charles Darwin, or can I swear on, like, the Communist Manifesto?
I actually just today I saw a meme about how someone was just sworn into office on an old Superman comic book.
What?
Yeah.
What, like a senator?
I'm not sure if it's real, but it would be pretty funny.
That would be hilarious. That would be awesome.
Yeah, you can choose. I'm pretty sure you can choose whatever book you want if you're an atheist. It just has to be something.
Oh, hell yeah. Can I swear on Catcher in the Rye?
Perhaps.
That would be so awesome. I swear on John Lennon's death that I will do what is best for my country. That would be awesome. I honestly, I kind of want to run for office now. But can you think of any other, like, major First Amendment violations in modern history, at least in America?
Well, I think that there's stuff like when the Pennsylvania State Police firebombed a whole block because there was a small group of people that were kind of like a Black Panther-esque organization. Yeah, and they weren't listening to the government, so the government responded by firebombing them.
Well, was it regarding, like, speech or religion?
I think partially.
Yeah.
Just because the Black Panthers were broken up by the U.S. government.
Yeah, haven't they not existed
leaders
since
of
like
the
the
Black
80s?
Panthers. Yeah, leaders of the Black Panthers were like murdered in their beds. And we murdered MLK. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, because
The FBI did.
it
Almost uncertainly.
Yes.
Or almost certainly.
Yes. At the very least, James Earl Ray was framed, and there was definitely a conspiracy in the government.
I don't want to get immediately taken off of YouTube.
Well, I mean, are the YouTube reviewers listening this far into the middle school GSA?
They have access to a transcription. Everything is automatically transcribed
just
and it
have
searches
to-
for keywords.
That sucks.
Yeah, it
Well,
does suck.
I think
Big Brother is watching.
I don't think that there's more insane. Like, that's pretty much just factual, but there's more insane shit that's on YouTube that isn't taken down.
No, I'm kind of just being silly. I'm not actually concerned about getting taken down for stating your very, very, at the very least, common belief. When I think of
even like in the George Floyd protests, there was a lot of violence used against non-violent protesters, and
From the government, you
looking
mean?
at this, on the part of the government, and in the civil rights movement. I mean, it's all over the place when you really look at it, because we only follow the Bill of Rights in the United States when it's convenient. It's kind of a figurehead. It's not. We don't always follow it to a T.
I think the biggest example of this that I can think of in my lifetime is when Donald Trump just decided that we weren't going to let people from majority Muslim countries enter our country.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking nuts.
Which, I guess, on a technical level, he didn't exactly say no Muslims are allowed in our country, but he specifically banned immigration from like a long list of countries with the expressed intention being reducing the Muslim population and the population of Muslim immigrants in our country, which is, in my opinion, a direct violation of the principles, at least, of the First Amendment.
Yeah.
And hasn't faced any repercussions for that. Not that I'm like a hardcore constitutionalist, but I think there is a lot of like very basic morality that's written in here that is constantly violated by our government.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Are we keeping the First Amendment as the same?
I think so. I think we're going to keep it, and we're just going to actually follow it. Rather than claim to.
I have one last question for you regarding the First Amendment.
Yes.
What if, and might be a little bit of a stretched hypothetical, what if people are saying things that you don't like and that you disagree with?
That's a hard one, Demigloom.
Yeah.
That's a difficult one. The funny answer is my word is law, and anyone who disagrees with me gets the axe. The real answer is that if I assume that I'm objectively correct and that my worldview is objectively correct, then that gives other people license to think that. So even if I really do think I'm correct, I can't like say anyone who disagrees with me goes to jail, because then if someone who actually is like really, really shitty, if they get into power, then they have license to do that too, and that sucks. Also, just I don't think that you should be sending people to jail for like thought crimes and shit like that. I think in general, I have a pretty solid worldview, and I'm correct.
Yeah.
In general,
I think I'm right about most things.
Of course, that's what most people think, but
yeah, I think everybody on Earth thinks they're right about most things, at least.
Yeah.
I think what were you gonna say?
I don't think that it's the right thing to do to be throwing people in jail for holding opinions anyway, unless they're hurting people. So,
well, I think most people would agree with you there. It's just what is and isn't hurting people. I think, like, for example, like, obviously there's the old yelling fire in a crowded theater. It's a malicious form of speech that inherently causes, like it's inherently like acknowledged as a cause for human harm, physical human harm, right?
Yes.
Would you extend that to things like, say, so obviously, like, you can't say like, oh, we should kill all Jewish people, right? You can't say that. I mean, like, ethically, I mean, we'd agree with that, right?
Yeah.
You should be legally punished for
Um,
saying we should kill all Jewish people. Well, not like not when I just said it, because I'm, you know, you know what I'm
making
saying.
The whitest kids you know reference right now?
Not intentionally, but yes. Listen, if somebody were advocating for the murder of all Jewish people, I think we would all agree that they should probably be punished somehow. My friend Riley wouldn't agree, but I think everybody else on Earth would probably agree with me there. Now, the question is, how do we compare that to somebody like hanging like a Nazi flag in their yard? Is that the same thing? Is that the same thing as saying kill all Jewish people?
I think, man, this is actually it's really difficult for me because I think that it's difficult to have an objectively correct answer here. Like, I think that what Germany does, where like you can't hang Nazi symbols anywhere in Germany, like you'll get in serious trouble for that. I think that that's absolutely correct. But I also see what people mean when they say that we shouldn't be jailing, because that is jailing someone for a thought crime. That is jailing someone for thinking something, even if they aren't actually doing anything. And
Right.
I think that that's a slippery slope.
Don't do that. Please don't say slippery slope.
I know, like, slippery slope fallacy and everything, but I do think it's a slippery slope. I think that once you justify punishing thought crimes at all, then you kind of open yourself up to more possibilities. So at the end of the day, I think it may, what may be correct is for us, like, as communities, to come together and shun someone who's going around saying we should kill all Jews or hanging Nazi flags in their front yard. But I think that it gets pretty tricky when you're saying we're going to throw people in jail or fine people for this.
Yeah. So the real question is, should I go to jail for putting a swastika in the thumbnail of this video and then putting
my God.
a little cartoon Felonious Ferris that says "I am a Nazi"?
No.
Should we
No!
should we be legally punished for doing that?
I think that I can sue you for slander for doing
for
that.
uploading a podcast with you on it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I actually could sue you for that. Especially
No, it's a cartoon. It could be satire.
If people like in real life came out to me and were like, "Wow, Felonious Ferris, you're a Nazi, huh?" Then I could like definitely for sure sue you.
Well, we'll see. We'll see in a couple of days. No, I'm kidding. I would never do that. Do we agree about the First Amendment? So we agree that the First Amendment is good, but actually maybe not. Is basically our opinion here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I mean, governing is tricky. All of these things are tricky. It's difficult to find objectively correct answers for a lot of these things.
I don't think you can make any ethical statement that there won't be exceptions for, from a utilitarian standpoint. I think there's always going to be exceptions to any rule you could possibly create ethically.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, actually. People are probably going to name horrendous things that obviously don't have any justification. Please don't do that in the comments section.
How about we move on to the Second Amendment?
Yeah, we don't have all day. The Second Amendment protects an individual right to possess a firearm unconnected with service in a militia and to use that arm for traditionally lawful purposes, such as self-defense within the home. It's a very difficult one. It's so vague. It's a meaningless amendment, if we're being totally honest, because, as I've said before many times publicly, I think we all agree, with the exception of a couple insane people, that we shouldn't have rocket launchers in the streets. Regular people shouldn't be able to own rocket launchers. So basically, what I'm saying is that it's not inherent, right? Like, you shouldn't be able to own any kind of weapon imaginable, but you also shouldn't be. We also don't need to ban every single weapon on Earth. Like, I think there should be some amount of legal firearm ownership within a nation.
Yeah. I think this is another tricky thing because, of course, a lot of the root of this amendment is kind of the subtext is we want people to be able to own weapons so that they can defend themselves against the government if that need arise. Because, you know, the whole thing, this was written just after we violently threw out an occupying force of our land. So, of course, we were like, oh, we want to, if we ever become bad, we want people to do that to us. But the thing is, we've reached a stage where the U.S. military has such advanced technology that, you know, even if you can own an AK-47, it's not going to do shit. They can drone strike your house remotely, and the person controlling the drone can be thousands of miles away.
Yeah.
And we can level entire cities. We have fucking nuclear bombs. Like, unless we are going to say legalize nuclear bombs.
I love that sentence.
Yeah. Unless we're going to legalize all of this military technology, which is a terrible idea for the record.
I don't know.
It's kind of like you're not going to be able to do jack shit against the US government.
Yeah, no. There's no like all this like power fantasy about like, you know, defeating the government in an armed standoff and becoming the god of the new world, as somebody would say. I don't think it's real. It's not going to happen. So I think, honestly, I just think that the concept of overthrowing the government in an armed standoff is just something we don't even need to account for in our Constitution, because it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. I do think, like, I think it's really important for people to be able to have access to, like, guns for hunting, that kind of weaponry.
Yeah.
But it's another thing where I don't really have a super solid, strong position, because, you know, in theory, I think it's a good idea for the citizens of a country to be armed, but in practice, it just isn't gonna, it's not gonna do anything except give more psychopaths access to
means of mass destruction and murder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we've been paying the price for this amendment for so long, and how many dead elementary schoolers is it going to take before we set aside our egos, set aside the beautiful idea of taking up arms against the government and winning.
Which never works, by the way.
Yeah.
It never works in modern history.
How many people need to die? How many people need to die?
Right, and that is a genuine question, you know what I mean? Maybe if there was some prospect of revolution, it would be worth a couple children. Maybe, you know what I mean? Maybe our revolution would save billions of kids, right?
You know, from a utilitarian standpoint.
Yeah, from a utilitarian standpoint. Maybe our revolution would save billions of kids, but newsflash, it won't. It just won't. So it's a completely irrelevant conversation. I don't even like asking the question sarcastically, like how many kids is it worth, because the answer is 0. Because we're not saving children with our revolution. We're not making up for that.
Yeah.
But I don't think people who believe in the Second Amendment, or, you know, believe in like ownership of weapons that cause mass destruction, I don't think any of them actually believe that, you know what I mean? It's just a matter of like outweighing the positive and negatives, like as like yeah, well, this does objectively cause a bunch of violence, but the violence is worth it because this, and this. Like, I don't think anybody's actually making that argument. I think people genuinely just think that, like, You know what I mean? Like, oh, guns don't kill people, people do.
I think that the guns don't kill people idea is
Guns don't kill
an
people.
excuse.
People with guns kill people.
Yeah. I mean, tell that to the, what is it, like one person a year in the United States gets shot by their dog.
Wait, what? Gets shot
Yeah.
by their dog?
Yeah.
Wait, are you saying that dogs are triggering firearms and killing
Yeah.
people this often?
Not always killing them, but I think I if I'm remembering correctly, don't quote me on this, but around one person a year is just being reckless with their firearms, like leaving it on the ground with the safety off.
Yeah.
And then the dog steps on it and the person gets shot.
Yeah. I totally believe that, although it is still a bit shocking to hear.
Yeah.
That's absolutely insane.
It is pretty insane. It's really funny.
The amount of kids that accidentally kill themselves with their parents' weapons.
Yep. Or their siblings. Yeah.
Or their siblings, yeah, exactly.
It's just it's a huge liability, and I'm not sure that it's entirely worth it all the time.
My take on gun ownership in general is that I genuinely believe you should have to have a license to own a gun. And when I say that to a lot of people who aren't gun people, they're actually like, "Wait, you don't need that already?" Like people think that you need a license to own a gun. You don't. You can literally buy guns on like apps like Craigslist. You can there's literally an app called Arms List.
Yeah.
Like my dad bought an AK-47 without any kind of checkup or, no government intervention whatsoever in between him and that purchase.
Yeah.
I think as a society we've rightfully decided that you need a license to drive a car because a car is a deadly weapon and you need to demonstrate a certain amount of responsibility and competence, using that deadly weapon responsibly. And I genuinely believe that same logic should carry over to gun ownership. And I think if you believe that you need a license to drive a car, but you shouldn't need a license to own a gun, you're a hypocrite, in all honesty.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think that there should be some equivalent of driver safety for gun owners.
They do. They have hunter safety, which
yes,
a lot of parents.
I want it to be required for you to be able to buy a gun, because
the credit
too many people are just dipshits and not taking anything seriously and end up getting, like, lots of people shoot their dicks off and bleed out in the woods. It's great. It's really so much. I have so much faith in the American
I'm assuming we're not
to...
talking about trans women either.
Nope.
Damn.
People, I mean, so many, you see, like, lots of people who, like, want to be gangsters. They'll take pictures with a pistol in their pants, and then something catches the safety's off, something catches the trigger, and they shoot their dicks off, and it happens. It's a thing that happens here.
Well, that's from a utilitarian standpoint, that's a net positive, because the less penises on human beings, the less penises on our population, the better. Am I right?
You make a great point, Demigloom.
So yeah, I changed my mind. All guns should be legal.
Yep. Just as long as we get that small handful of people every year that shoots their dicks off.
Yeah, that's the justification.
It's all worth it. It's all worth it.
How many kids?
Dead kindergartners.
Yeah, how many dead kindergartners justify the shooting dicks off? And the answer is many. As many as we need. I think we've. So yeah, what do we do? What do we do with the Second Amendment? Do we just drop it? Do we just leave that up to the state? Do we leave that up to states? Do we leave it up to the common sense of whoever is currently in power, or do we have something in stone written about weapons of mass destruction?
When we last talked about this, I think
spoiler alert, guys. This is take 2. We did another recording and it completely failed. So yeah, this isn't the first time we're talking about this.
But I think that I think it's a good idea to have something about weapons, and weapon ownership. But if we, like, had it written in that, like, oh, we're gonna reconvene every 20 years, or every 10 years, or every 50 years, whatever we think, we're reconvene.
It shouldn't even
and
be a number. It
reevaluate.
should just be whenever it's necessary. Because like, what if somebody invents like a fucking homemade missile? People start 3D printing missiles. You can't be like, oh, sorry, we got to wait 20 more years before we can edit the Constitution. Fuck that.
I mean, obviously, yes.
By the way, I don't know if you know this, people are 3D printing guns. That's a thing.
Yeah. Dude,
That's insane.
I bought like one
3D printed gun?
Not a 3D printed gun, but I bought something off of Etsy, which is just the blueprint for a 3D printed thing, so I could like send it to someone and have it printed out. And now my whole Etsy is just filled with blueprints for 3D printed guns.
Holy shit. How have the feds not cracked down on that yet? I feel like that would get... Jesus Christ. That's when you know this amendment has been taken too far. 3D printed guns on Etsy. That's horrible. That's a moral atrocity, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'd say the fact that 3D printed guns are on Etsy, I'd say that's about a moral atrocity equivalent to like one school shooting.
Oh my god.
I mean, are you going to disagree with that?
Yes.
I feel like the amount of potential violence there is like I'd say like that's just about as bad as handing fucking Nick Cruz the AR-15 that he used. Like,
well,
it's just,
I think,
the accessibility is insane.
Well, I think that most people don't have access to the technology to actually print a functional, dangerous.
I think they could easily find somebody. Personally, I don't know. But then again, I'm crazy. I know a lot of crazy people who are on a bunch of watch lists. So.
How about the Third Amendment?
The Third Amendment. That's right. That's right. We don't have an unlimited amount of time to talk about everything. We could honestly do a podcast. We could start a whole podcast where we just do one amendment at a time.
Yeah.
The Third Amendment forbids forcible housing of military personnel in a citizen's home during peacetime and requires the process to be prescribed by law in times of war. Yeah, as I said before, this amendment is completely meaningless because it says, oh yeah, no. In the times of war, we were not going to be putting people in, soldiers in people's houses unless prescribed by law. So basically, the government has no right to put soldiers in people's houses unless the government deems it necessary. In my opinion, I think that's such a basic, logical fallacy that should not be in writing, and it's an embarrassment to our entire nation that they had that. I sure hope somebody got fired for that blunder, is all I'm saying.
Well, James Madison did go on to be president, so I'm not sure. Yeah. But it did, the Third Amendment did come up relatively recently for the first time in 200 years or whatever. It was during the George Floyd protests, again. I think it was the National Guard that tried to tell the owner of a hotel, oh, you just need to let us hang out here. And then the owner of the hotel was like, no, Third Amendment, and got them kicked out. And I think that's
crazy.
Pretty cool.
Were they just
cool.
Were they just L plus ratio plus Third Amendment, get out of here?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
James Madison is smiling fondly in his grave.
Gotta love James Madison. Rare James Madison W. This is.
Yes. I made that joke when we first recorded this. So give me credit for that joke.
What joke? Rare James Madison W?
Yeah.
No, but I said
I don't
rare.
say very many funny things.
I said
so
rare
when
founding
I
fathers
do.
W before you said that.
Oh, okay, whatever.
You say a lot of really funny things. I don't know why you have low self-esteem. Now I do have to cut out a lot of you in this podcast, but other than that, I think you're a great host. You contribute the same amount, if not more, than I do.
My brain needs buffer time, a lot of it.
You're running on old hardware.
Yes, it's honestly, I think I may have dementia by the time I'm 30.
Is that serious? Is that
no.
hyperbolic, or are you actually? Do you actually think you could get dementia at that young of an age?
No, I don't think that I could actually, but I think that I am at a point where I'm mentally impaired, at least a little bit, and I only see it getting worse. So,
Do you feel like you're impaired in a way that, like, affects your ability to think and process information logically?
yeah.
Then why do you trust yourself enough to even like have political opinions if you actually believe you're that impaired?
I think I'm not impaired. I'm impaired in the way where it takes me like it takes me a second longer than other people to like bring all my thoughts together. There's just that added buffer time that my brain needs.
So it's not like the actual, like, your actual perception of reality is like flawed. It's just that it takes longer for you to process information, and you have a more difficult time digesting things.
Yeah, and
so it's not like you're digesting things wrong. You just have a harder time doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense.
This can go onto the Patreon, but yeah, it's just fucking brain fog. Do you
want me to cut that out?
I don't want us to talk about my significant cognitive impairment in the podcast, both because that's off topic and other reasons, but yeah, I got fibromyalgia and I got brain fog, which just means it's kind of hard for me to think sometimes.
What?
A lot of the time. Actually, it's kind of amazing. And I've lost all faith in the system working because I was capable of getting a driver's license.
Do you not think you deserve a driver's license?
The Wisconsin DMV made the biggest mistake in Wisconsin DMV history.
You heard it here first on patreon.com/middleschoolgsa. We live in Wisconsin.
Yep.
Which is a society.
Yep. And they gave me a driver's license, and they absolutely should not have. I totaled my first car because
that's right.
Yeah. Part of the brain fog for me is almost a dissociation-like state that's just permanent, where I kind of go through my entire life feeling like I'm playing a video game. Like, I don't feel like I'm real and me in my body, being a person that exists and is perceived by others and uses actions whose actions affect others. So I was just like going around a bend and fucking forgot that I was driving a car. So I like looked at the map for a couple of seconds and then hit a sign. And
I don't think I want to get sushi on Friday. I'm having second thoughts about seafood.
You can trust me, Demigloom.
I don't. you just basically said that me. You said you forgot you were driving a car and then you totaled it. You totaled it.
I didn't forget that I was driving a car. I just forgot that I was driving a real car.
Oh,
in real life.
Okay, that makes it much better. So you just went in like
and
GTA
then I hit
5 mode.
And I hit the sign. Yeah, exactly. And I hit the sign and it snapped the control rod and damaged part of the underside of the car going over the curb, and I do think in general I'm a pretty safe driver, but there are like scary moments where it's like, wow, none of this feels real, and I'm able to logically kind of go, oh, I need to act like this so that I don't kill myself by crashing my car, but like that. The consequences of my actions don't feel real. They feel very, very far away, very theoretical.
So when you crashed your car, did you feel like you snapped back to reality like instantly, or afterward did it take a minute to like fully feel like you were, alive?
I was almost
and
even
human?
more disconnected from reality afterwards.
This is horrifying.
Yeah.
I don't talk to me ever again. Jesus Christ.
We talked
about needing a license for a car because it's a deadly weapon. I don't want you to have a gun. If you have a gun, you're gonna do something really regrettable. please don't buy a gun
That's
ever.
yeah.
I
I'm
know,
not,
I know you're a socialist and all, and down with capitalism and that's all that cute stuff. But please do not buy a firearm.
Yeah, there's added dangers with that too, because I'm able to completely disconnect my actions from the reactions
Yeah.
almost completely in my mind. So like I've done like a bunch of drugs before and then was like surprised when I was really fucked up off of them. Yeah.
Yucky. Don't do drugs, children. Don't do
Don't do
drugs,
drugs.
Squeebo, if you're listening to this.
Maybe a little weed.
No.
A little weed's okay.
I literally have to like stop. I literally have to like babysit my friend Squeebo and make sure that they don't fucking hit anybody's vape pen or anything because I'm so horrified that they're going to become addicted to something.
I think I know who you're talking about. I think Squeebo is almost at an age where they can smoke a little weed.
Ugh, they're 15.
Squeebo, I endorse. Oh, well, 15.
Just don't.
Yeah, give it a
Listen.
couple of years, Squeebo.
No. Listen,
then
smoke
you can
weed.
smoke a little
Smoke weed. Smoke weed when you graduate. Allow the right to smoke weed as think of it as like a present, as a gift, as an achievement from graduating.
Yeah.
Smoke weed when you graduate. Do not smoke weed before you graduate.
Yeah. I maybe this is the real root of all of it, but I started smoking when I was like 14.
Oh,
So,
God. I mean, I did for the first time when I was 14, and that story has been told many times.
Yeah.
But I do not. Oh God, just do. I think I learned. Honestly, maybe some people need to like do it once just to learn that it's gonna fuck them up at a young age. But at the same time, I think most people have a positive experience at first, and it develops into a negative thing. But I don't know. This is not.
Yeah.
We do have a show to do.
Yeah. That was for the people who give us money.
Yeah. Thank you for giving us money, by the way, since we're speaking directly to you right now.
Thank you so much.
So the Third Amendment, obviously it contradicts itself with right away, but I think overall the sentiment is there. I think we should just get rid of that little unless the law, unless it becomes necessary. What did it say?
Just chop off that last little bit. It says
prescribed by law. The process is required to be prescribed by law. Just chop that piece off, and I think we got ourselves a solid Third Amendment.
The actual quote is, "but in a manner to be prescribed by law." But just cut that. Then
thank you.
Then we're good.
Congratulations on speaking Old English. I'm really happy for you.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
See, I'm not that cognitively impaired.
Yeah. The Fourth Amendment, though. The Fourth Amendment protects against arbitrary arrests and is the basis of the law regarding search warrants, stop and frisk, safety inspections, wiretaps, and other forms of surveillance, as well as being central to many other criminal law topics and to privacy law.
Yeah.
This one, this one isn't really, at least in the Go on.
Sorry. That description that you read feels kind of vague, like it alludes to things but doesn't say them.
Yeah, because to me it just that writing just seems like a very basic like description of like a value without actually like making any inherent statements about what the government can and can't do. Like it doesn't actually draw any parameters.
I think it's probably necessary just for the purpose of being brief, because
but at the same time though, like you're feeding people an inaccurate description. So yeah, fuck you. I think whatever institution.
I think that it's enough, because it's impossible to completely go over it, because there's so many different ways of applying this amendment and ways of interpreting it and ways that it is interpreted in modern day, that you can't go over all of that. So you can allude to things, but we can't go into all of the little intricacies.
Can you detail what this amendment means to your understanding then?
It's protecting people's right to a fair trial, right to be protected from unethical search and seizure. Like, someone needs to get a warrant, go through a judge before they can go into your house and ransack the place. And yeah, I think that it is really important, and I really do agree with it. I do think that it is very vague.
Yeah.
But it is really important that we don't act like the KGB and just, bust into people's houses whenever we want to and go through all their shit. Of course, the U.S. government does that a little bit anywhere, but gotta go through like a judge and shit first.
Would tapping people's phones be a violation of this?
I think it wouldn't be, as long as they got a warrant for it.
Yeah.
I mean, they can
or if
wiretap people's houses as long as they have a warrant.
That, or if you consented to your phone being tapped, which we all do, because we don't read the fucking fine print.
Yeah. Whoops.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have any qualms with this amendment. Do you? Besides the vagueness of it,
yeah,
I personally don't feel qualified or informed enough to make a decision as to what parameters, like where these hard lines need to be drawn.
Yeah, I think
I think that's the lesson that we're learning by doing this, is that we're really not qualified to write the Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
I mean, we got the.
I think that the Fourth Amendment is good for like a preamble, and then go on for 50 pages elaborating on what you mean. But just this, it kind of just a tad bit meaningless.
Yeah. I feel like all the good amendments are kind of meaningless because, as we said before, when you draw hard lines, there's always going to be exceptions, so that we can debate about those all we want. But like, I'm speaking in nonsense. I'm really sorry. I think the good amendments are the vague ones because, it accounts for exceptions.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you have to be vague. And by being vague, you become meaningless. So maybe we don't need a constitution. Maybe that's the real lesson we need to learn. Maybe there shouldn't be a constitution.
Let's go back to anarcho-primitivism. Let's live in the woods.
What does that even mean? What is anarcho-primitivism? Does that just mean being against civilization?
Kinda. It's
but like what is
people
civilization?
Who just wanna return to civilization is organized farming, essentially. It's people started farming, and then that allowed a whole bunch of people to live in a small amount of land, and then people started governing and all that stuff, and then that is a society. And it's people who just want to go back to living in the woods. So that's what the Joker was talking about. Jabbing at like elk with pointy sticks. No medicine. Just
yeah, I feel like civilization has accomplished too much for anyone to be able to, like, in good faith, dismiss it.
Yeah, but people do. There are a lot of people who
people
are
with fucking
anarcho-primitivists.
People who are
yes.
so privileged that they don't like have anything to account for.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, it sounds great for us to go back to the days when people died of diabetes because there was no insulin. Of course, people die of diabetes now because when people born with any kind of disability or neurodivergence were just died immediately, basically. Just got thrown in a bush.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. I'm sure it's easy for a lot of people to say that, who, don't have any, intersectionality to account for. I hate saying that word. I hate intersectionality because it's so it's so real. I believe in it so hard, but I also hate people who. Can we do a whole episode about intersectionality?
Let's touch on this. Yeah, let's touch on this.
Let me just make me not sound less like a horrible person. I think intersectionality is a great pretext to analyzing a lot of social issues, but I fucking hate people who use it as literally like a scoreboard People who are like who
Yeah.
literally like post like their little intersectionality quiz results and are like, I intersect in all these areas, so fuck you. Like it's literally
Yeah.
like a high score. Fuck you people. Fuck leftists. I hate leftists. I hate you all. I'm a conservative now. Lois, I'm a conservative now. The Fifth Amendment. The Fifth Amendment guarantees the right to a grand jury, forbids double jeopardy, and protects against self-incrimination. It also requires that due process of law be part of any proceeding that denies a citizen life, liberty, or property, and requires government to compensate citizens when it takes private property for public use. We had a
Yeah.
great conversation about seizing private property for public use last time. That'll forever be lost to time.
Yeah.
You did a better job explaining this amendment than I did. So do you want to just describe this is the Fifth Amendment? Yeah.
Yeah. This is just more guaranteeing a fair trial. And like in double jeopardy this was really super relevant at the time because you could just be brought to trial for the same thing indefinitely. And it was just a way of harassing people.
Yeah. Honestly, that's
And
really
it's
funny
really-
though.
It is really funny. But it's really good that we don't allow that to happen, that you can't be brought to trial for the same thing over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but then some people, but then again, there's cases where I disagree. There's cases where I disagree with a sentencing, and I'm kind of like, man,
Well-
can we just bring like OJ? Come on, can we
well,
get him
hold
this
on.
time? Can we go back?
let's not get into OJ.
I'm joking, by the way. I do not
that's
believe in double
more-
jeopardy.
That's more.
I mean, the glove didn't fit, so
That's more
innocent.
episode 50 type iceberg. Like, we are not gonna go into OJ right now.
I mean, but do you really think apple juice is any better? Like, let's be real now.
I think I prefer pomegranate.
What? The pomegranate
I
juice?
like pomegranate juice. Yeah. Big
Are you
pisser.
trolling?
Love pissing.
It has what the hell does pomegranate juice taste like? Does it taste like pomegranate?
Yeah.
Ugh, you fucking hippies. I hate pomegranate. It's so bad.
Demi, I'm so surprised that you don't have scurvy.
I eat fruit. I eat bananas like all the time. I eat. What
See,
else do I
that's
eat?
disgusting.
The
Bananas.
bananas are disgusting.
Yeah, I hate
Okay,
bananas.
we're putting this right now. The First Amendment of the woke Constitution is bananas good, pomegranates bad.
Fuck
Because
you.
pomegranates are disgusting. Bananas
Fuck
are delicious.
Bananas have the worst texture. They're so slimy. I hate them. They're like, oh god. I hate them. I hate them so much. And my dad used to make me eat banana as a kid. And if I said, no, I won't eat it, he'd go, then you must not be hungry. And then I'd starve to death because I was willing to be hungry rather than eat a slimy, like somehow low friction, but like weird high bad friction on the outside.
What?
I don't know. I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate
You're
bananas.
making no sense. Bananas are so yummy. So yummy. And you look like you're sucking a dick when you eat them.
You make a valid point.
Yeah,
However, yucky.
fair enough.
Anyway, that was.
Do we have
an
anything to
interesting
say about
tangent.
the Fifth Amendment? Kind of a boring one.
Yeah, it's just like good shit. Yeah. And before we talked about like the government taking land and then compensating people for it. And
I don't.
how
I believe I talked
think
about how I
that-
believed in seizing private property for public use, like
yeah,
wholeheartedly, 100%.
yeah.
I think, and this is the example I gave. I think if the government decided, fuck you, Walmart doesn't exist anymore. We're buying every single Walmart building. We're not buying. We're taking it. We're taking Walmart away, and every Walmart becomes a homeless shelter, and we're
Well,
just
it
going
would
to
be
end
buying
homelessness.
because you need to fairly. It's written into the Constitution that you need to fairly compensate someone.
Well, that's what I'm
for-
saying. I'm saying it would be based if they didn't even compensate them. Fuck those
Yeah.
rich fucking Walton family members. Fuck them. Fuck Walmart.
It's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope.
It's not a slippery
Demigloom.
slope.
It is a
No,
slippery
if you
slope.
make this is my fucking Marxist dream, okay? If you make more than a certain amount of money, we're just gonna take all your shit. That's the revolution. Can you?
It's pretty
Do you
good.
think it's? Do you think it could be like functionally, like politically achievable for, say, like there was like an armed standoff where people just like basically came in with a bunch of guns and were like, "We own this fucking Walmart now. Everybody get the fuck out of here." And they just stole that property like that. I feel like they just call the National Guard and kill everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
God.
I
But
mean, we've
wouldn't it be so cool if our government was like, actually, you know what? That's cool. We're gonna let you do that. Thank you.
that would be so cool. That
God,
would be
that's the government I want.
so big mommy United States. Thank you so much
Can
for
we just
letting
get
us have weed and
Can we just
letting us
bring
have
Lenin
this
back?
Walmart.
I feel like
Yeah.
Lenin would let us keep the Walmart.
Yeah.
And then he would send police to kill us because we obviously don't agree with most of the things. But he would let us keep it for a while.
Yeah. But we know exactly what the US government would do because shit like this has happened before. Like
Has anybody done something like do you have an example of something similar?
Yes. Like at Wounded Knee 2, where a general store on a Native American reservation, I believe it was Pine Ridge in North Dakota, where as protest for being mistreated and for the local, like, the tribe government being terrible, and for all sorts of things. Again, look into this yourself. Don't quote me. It is true though that they just took the general store, and occupied it for, I think, at least a week.
God, that's so based. I'm
It
just
is,
like,
but the FBI came and it was like just people shooting back and forth for a long time. A woman actually gave birth while being like bullets were flying through the walls. She gave birth in the general store.
see, and this is why I have to say don't try to occupy a Walmart with armed force because it's just going to lead to senseless violence.
But
all I'm saying is it would be really cool if
actually,
it worked, and it doesn't.
it was actually a pretty powerful protest. But of course, conditions for people in reservations are still terrible. It didn't really change anything in the end at all. But it got the voices of people. I believe her name is Mary Bravebird. She was the woman who gave birth in the general store while being shot at. And she went on, she wrote a book. There's a movie about the book. The book is really good. I think it's called Lakota Woman. Highly, highly recommend if you're interested in ways that our indigenous people have been oppressed in America, which you should be if you're an American citizen.
Yeah, but if you don't live in America, you really shouldn't care, right? Why did you specify if you're an American citizen?
I think it's especially if you're an American citizen. I think that you should be concerned about injustice no matter where you live, but
yeah,
especially if you're gonna like live here, you should know the history and you should know that people are still being mistreated. These are ongoing issues.
And unironically, you need to check your privilege. I know that's it's a funny feminist mom thing to say, but it's true. You need to be aware of the privileges that you have when you live in a country that favors you over others.
Yeah. And a lot of people hear that and go, "Oh, that means that they want me to be ashamed because I'm privileged," or they want me to feel bad and then surrender my privileges.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't want you to feel bad. I do want to, in the name of like closing the gap. I do believe in bringing the people who are up down and the people who are down up.
Well, I think that
very basic class reductionist principles here.
I don't think that people should, because a lot of this is just like basic human rights, and no one should have to like sacrifice. Like we aren't asking for anyone to like move to the slums and live in squalor because there are other people out there living in squalor. It's just like, let's get people out of slums and let's have everyone have equal access to opportunities. Just that kind of shit.
I just believe in providing the most amount of people we can with the most desirable life we can. If that means stripping the ultra wealthy of a lot of their conveniences and luxuries, then so be it. But I think the most people that get offended when you say like check your privilege are really just like, like white people who most people who get offended are people who believe that they struggle themselves, and they most certainly do, right? It's usually more like lower class white people who are like, oh, my family has to work too, you know what I mean? I'm not ultra wealthy. But so like for those people I don't give a shit. But like as far as the ultra wealthy go, I do believe in bringing them down.
Yeah.
In order to even out the playing field, not just because I believe it's so unfair that you know what I mean, you are rich, we're just going to make you poor for the sake of making you poor, but because I believe the ultra wealthy are continuously exploiting resources and just as far as distributing everything charitably and fairly and ethically, we do need to bring people down. Fuck the ultra wealthy, basically what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But you're not the ultra wealthy if you're listening to this podcast.
Probably not.
Unless Mr. Beast is listening. Mr. Beast is the one
Fuck
that
you,
was
Mr.
fair.
Beast.
Oh,
Fuck you, Mr. Beast.
Are you one of those anti-Mr. Beast people?
Yes.
But
I hate Mr. Beast.
philanthropy capitalism is based.
No, it's not.
Listen, within the capitalist
capitalism
pretext,
is still capitalism. He's still making a profit. Hold on. Hold on. My big problem, because I just know that Mr. Beast is rich, and I have a personal issue with the Team Trees stuff that he's done, because it's entirely performative. It's not actually going to help stop climate change. If he
no,
put
it's
all of
it's
that
not
money,
about change. It's about the image of change. I completely agree with you
Yes.
there.
If he did actual research and actually cared about climate change, then he would have invested all of that money into protecting wetlands and and
No, I have my issues with him too, and I'm gonna cut you off not because I don't want to have this conversation, but because I want to have this conversation later in like a much longer form. I think this will be a great episode, personally.
Yeah, the fuck Mr. Beast episode.
Listen, I like Mr. Beast overall. Okay, I think he's done more good than bad, but I completely get where you're going, and I think we're gonna agree on more than we disagree on.
Ugh. Okay, whatever.
The Sixth Amendment, Felonious Ferris. The Sixth Amendment guarantees the right of criminal defendants, including the right to a public trial without unnecessary delay, the right to a lawyer, the right to an impartial jury, and the right to know who your accusers are and the nature of the charges and evidence against you.
Yes. This is just more fair trial stuff. This is just preventing prosecutors from abusing the right to bring someone to trial. And yeah, that's a good thing. We want this.
Yeah, just very basic rights regarding trials and justice.
Mm-hmm. Of course, we also don't really follow this one. There's lots of cases of it taking years for people to be brought to trial, or
people just sit around and rot in jail cells waiting for their trial.
Yeah, and it sucks.
I think the amendment, it sucks that it's worded. It just says unnecessary delay with like no specification. Like it's super vague. It could be just interpreted in any way that you want.
Yeah. Yep.
You could say that a day long is unnecessary delay, or you could say that a 2-year wait could be considered a necessary delay.
Yeah.
Part of me wants to say it should be a specific time period listed.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like we saw with the inflation, I believe it was the crime exceeding $20 or whatever, which is now worth like $500. Like times change, the value of time changes oftentimes too, because the context of like criminal justice changes, and what how long certain things take changes. So it obviously that would have to be adjusted.
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea to like reconvene every 10 years or whatever just to figure out what we want the new specifications to be.
Yeah, but again, that sort of defeats the entire purpose of a constitution, because a
I don't think
constitution
it
is supposed to
does.
be this. What is the point of a constitution?
It's just laying a foundation of philosophies and ideas from which you build all of your more specific laws and just protecting basic rights for your citizens.
Right, but like the whole point of the constitution is that it's everything stated within it is fundamental, right?
I don't think it has to be. I think that we can
Then
have
if
more
it's not
specific things
fundamental,
that we
why
change.
how is it foundational if it's not fundamental?
What do you you can adjust as you go as long like especially with things like defining how long a defining how long an unnecessary delay is. Like that's the kind of thing where
Yeah.
tweaking that every once in a while probably isn't going to fuck up all of the laws that are built around it. At least I don't think so. But
That's
so
kind
I
of what I
think
was going to say, is that like, sorry, go on.
I think it would be doable with certain things. I don't think it's a good idea to just be changing it all the time, constantly, but I also think it's a terrible idea for us to just treat it like the Bible and it's just this word that can never be touched for the rest of time.
Yeah, I guess where I was getting is that I think constitutions are kind of pointless,
Mm,
in that by altering a constitution continuously, it kind of defeats the entire purpose. Like if there was a lot of legislation that was like, essentially just an extension of, or sorry, if legislation regarding issues that are mentioned in the Constitution are generally, if we are constitutionalists, that sort of legislation is just going to be pushing the amendments within the Constitution to their logical conclusions. Am I making sense?
yes, you are completely.
Like legislation regarding speech is supposed to be reflective of our Constitution. The First Amendment is the backbone for all legislation regarding speech. But if we were to change the First Amendment and add certain specifications, that would kind of, all of that shit would kind of have to go out the window, and we'd have to adjust every single little thing. So in my eyes, once we start adjusting an amendment that everything is built off of, we're just adjusting everything within the law to, accommodate that or account for that. And at that point, what is the point of a constitution when when you're just knocking down an entire fucking domino stack by
Hmm.
altering it,
I
when we could just
definitely,
have specific laws?
yeah, I get what you're saying, and I agree to a certain extent. I think that just constantly editing it definitely does defeat the purpose of a constitution. But I think it's a good idea that we kind of, if you're starting a country, you want to lay out kind of these moral philosophical values, like this is what we're about. These are rules that we're never going to break, that we're going to adhere to make sure that our citizens are treated fairly. Um, of course, it
Yeah.
doesn't mean much if they just constantly ignore it.
To me, it's just the very utility of a constitution comes into question when we constantly see it being ignored, and just ignoring our constitution is kind of just something that we've learned to do all the time,
Yep.
and we kind of just only use it when it's convenient for us.
Yeah.
Like all across the political spectrum, I think
Yeah.
people constantly point to the Constitution when oftentimes disregarding it. And to me, it's just like, okay, why do we have this thing if it's doing nothing but both set us back and give us a fucking something to point at,
Hmm.
just to like validate our own opinions?
I think that's
I mean, look at the Russian Revolution. Look at any revolution and the principles it was built upon. I understand that you want to like, God, I'm too tired for this. Constitutions don't work, is my point.
hmm
Constitutions don't work unless the Constitution itself is only regarding issues that are so fundamental that they are never to be changed unless the world around us changes so much that it's necessary.
No, yeah,
Like that.
I definitely see, and I agree with you actually. It's tricky.
Like, I think the perfect example is like I think the founding fathers had every right and prerogative to make the Second Amendment during their time period because they had absolutely no idea, and we can't account for technology and just just advanced concepts that we don't face in our current time period.
The way
obviously.
that our society will evolve.
But we can also take these amendments that were made within different time periods and adjust them accordingly with modern knowledge and understanding that they apply very differently to different societies. But at the same time, it's like, well, why is it even a constitution? Is it even a constitution if we're going to change it like that?
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to change things that are so fundamental? I don't know. To me, it just seems like a huge... Whenever the Constitution comes up in modern political discourse, it really just seems like baggage that we have to carry.
Yeah.
Just like parameters that are set that are oftentimes doing more bad than good. But I also can acknowledge that the only time the Constitution does get brought up is when we are rejecting the principles of the Constitution. And I must also acknowledge that the Constitution is probably stopping a lot of crazy shit from happening that I just don't think about because, it's written in stone that we don't do those things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just very difficult for me, especially being a child and someone who's not actually into politics at all, being a fraud that I am, to even like know how to approach the situation.
Yeah. Yep. It's tricky. It's perilous.
I feel like this entire episode has just been us like reading an amendment, being like, "Yep, that amendment's good," and then just arguing about constitutions fundamentally.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Next amendment.
Yeah.
Or unless you have more to say.
No, Seventh Amendment.
No, you sure? You don't think? You don't think?
I don't think.
All right. Amendment number 7. Oh yeah, this is the very thing that I was just talking about. In suits at common law where the value in a controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall otherwise be re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of common law. This is just like, this all could have, the past like 4 amendments could have been one big amendment.
Yeah, kinda.
But
I think that they want to keep them
here...
short so that it's easy for everyone to understand. Part of the point of the Constitution is just setting out this framework that's easy for all ordinary citizens to understand and be like, okay, yeah, this is what my government is about.
They kind of did a horrible job at that.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't speak fucking old English. Maybe it was harder. Maybe it was easier to understand back then.
I mean, yeah. That's just what the language was like then.
I mean, obviously the language itself was much easier, but I mean, like the principles expressed were easier for citizens to grasp. Like there were matters that they actually had stakes in personally.
Yeah. A lot of it.
And in the midst of like a post-revolution era, I'm sure people were actually much more educated about the very principles of the land they were standing on. Whereas us who have been, you know what I mean? Us people who have been just generations before us have been experiencing pretty much the same exact society, and it's all kind of watered down.
Yeah. It's, like the Third Amendment, which we talked about, I think, pretty extensively earlier, but that was extremely relevant back then. And it was really important that they were like, oh yeah, we're not gonna place our soldiers in your homes without your consent. And of course, that never really came up after the fact because the government was just kind of like, okay, we're not going to do that. So, yeah.
Yeah. The value of $20 when the Constitution was written is equivalent to around $500 today, but the amendment has not been adjusted to accommodate. I keep saying accommodate. I don't know, to account for inflation. And yeah, it's worth over $500 today, and it's still written in stone that it's $20, even though $20 meant something completely different to people back then. I think that was huge founding fathers L to put an actual dollar amount. I mean, economics was the very foundation of this country. It was an economic dispute that made us revolt against the British, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why are we like lacking very basic economic knowledge, such as, I don't know, inflation happens, the value of the dollar is not concrete.
Yeah. That is
Really
a little
fucking
silly,
stupid.
a little goofy.
I think when I learned about this particular thing in middle school, that was when I was just like, oh my god, these people, not all about that Constitution.
That's why we need to reconvene every 10 years. To update. Because sometimes it's necessary to have specifics in order just for the amendments to have meaning, but...
Or just say like $20, or just like have the common decency to be like, yo, man, like $20, that's worth $500 now. You know what I mean? Ask what the economists would think. Just ask a team of economists to figure that shit out.
Yeah.
Figure out how much it's worth.
Yep.
Because it's inflation is something that's fairly concrete, right? Like obviously it's maybe down to the fraction of a cent. It can be disputed, but generally speaking, we have a pretty good like mathematical means of figuring out inflation and how much something was worth however many years ago, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems like a very, very like embarrassing flaw
Yeah.
in this, which is just just a common thing that happens in constitutions. Just people thinking super. I don't know. I wonder if they even thought that so many like in the year 2022, or sorry, 2023 now, people would even like still be living in this society. I mean,
Yeah.
did societies even last that long back then?
Yes, actually.
Like,
absolutely.
I understand that like societies themselves but like I feel like back then societies were much more unrecognizable past that certain time period, whereas right now, like obviously it's very widely different, but we still are living under the same exact constitution, the same exact shit.
Well,
But I'm not a history person, so
the British
educate me.
Empire. The British
did
Empire.
they live under the same values for over like 1,000 years? Not 1,000
not
years.
under the exact
like
same
300
values.
years?
It was more than
A set of did they live under a set of values like equally as influential in our lifestyles as the Constitution is to us?
no, kind of famously. Like the royals would just the Church of England was invented because one king was like, I want to get divorced.
Yeah, I know like literally nothing about fucking England. Like literally zero.
You should learn more about England.
Yeah, but England is not my city, okay? Like I'm not invested. I'm not invested in that country. It's not cool. There's nothing badass about England. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
Russian history, German history, all that shit is fucking it's crazy shit, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Fucking like British history is so boring. It's incredibly boring.
Well, there's interesting bits. There's interesting tidbits, like the guy who just kept killing his wives when they had female children. Give
Damn,
birth
he
to
went
a
straight for
girl.
the mother.
Give birth to a girl, and
Was this like spiritual?
decapitated.
Did he think that like women who give birth to like women are just like chosen by God to be unworthy of life?
No. No, he wanted sons so that he could have a successor. And I guess blamed the women for having daughters. I mean, people have gone back and forth historically about if it was completely by chance if you have boys or girls, or if some people are more predisposed to having girls or more predisposed to having boys. Yeah, it's a whole thing. We can talk about it at a different time.
Wow, that's the way we. I don't even know what to say. Why was he just so mad at these women that he
Yes.
just had to kill them?
Yes.
So
I
it's
think
not
he's
it's
also
not
the
even
one
like
who invented the Church of England so he could just divorce them instead of killing them.
yeah. So there's just a convenience.
Yep.
I'm tired of having to kill all these women. It sucks. It sucks that I have to kill all these women because I feel like it. It's such an inconvenience.
Okay, Eighth Amendment. Eighth Amendment.
Most often mentioned in the context of the death penalty, the Eighth Amendment prohibits cruel and unusual punishments, but also mentions excessive fines and bail. We already do excessive fines and bail, like, all the time.
Yeah, but cruel and
And the
unusual
death
punishment.
penalty,
Cruel and unusual punishment is something that has changed a lot of stuff. And there's so many debates about what defines cruel and unusual punishment. We used to do,
I mean, it's about it's about how people perceive it.
yeah. Well, yes. It is kind of inherently subjective, the words cruel and unusual, and we just need to figure out how we're going to define that. Like, for so long, we had execution by firing squad or electric chair. And
Execution by firing squad is like one of the most ethical ways to kill somebody, by
Yeah.
the way.
and it's funny because for so long, electric chair was considered to be like the one that everyone chooses because it's less cruel, less bloody, less painful. But it turns out that electric chair was actually just gruesome and horrific and incredibly painful.
Yeah, I've seen enough cartoons to know that electric chair is not super fun.
Eyeballs pop out of your head. It's great.
I feel like, though, like, part of cruel and unusual punishment is in regards to the death penalty particularly. I think we have a much more outrageous reaction to, like, something like a firing squad or like a public hanging than we do to, like, a lethal injection, even
Yeah.
though they're, like, arguably the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Maybe not public hanging, but like firing squad. Firing squad, I am all, if we must have death penalty and someone has a gun to my head and it's like, okay, we're either killing everybody with firing squad or we're killing everybody with lethal injection. Firing squad all the way, because lethal injection, like, is so expensive and it's such a waste of resources.
It's
just so
expensive.
it
and
seems less brutal.
Yeah, it's expensive and we still fuck it up. There was a big controversy. I forget which southern state it was, but the company that was manufacturing the lethal injection drug said, okay, we're not going to do this anymore because we can't condone this. So they were like, but we need to kill people. So they kept trying to find...
Whoa. Hold on. Are you telling me that the criminal justice system is not listening to scientists?
and so they kept, like, trying to find alternatives and trying to find, like, use the drugs that we use to euthanize animals. And there was an instance where there was a drug that hadn't been used previously to execute someone. And the guy's last words, you know, they give you a chance to give your last words. You said something, I believe, about his mother or his kids. But it turns out his actual last words were, "My body is on fire," because of how painful the drug was. Which is just, yeah. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ. But yeah, I think if I had to choose, it would probably, even, like, taking a sharp object just to the brainstem. Just...
What, like a cattle execution?
Something like that. Or even, like,
yeah.
A guillotine is kind of excessively showboaty, but that kind of concept. Like, that's a really...
Yeah, that's the thing, though, as I think a big part of it is that the perception often relies on it not being, like, visually grotesque.
Yeah. And,
like, something visually grotesque is often seen as cruel, whereas something less visually grotesque is
Absolutely.
not. Even if the more visually grotesque thing is insanely, like, more ethical.
Yeah. It's definitely part of, like, guillotine executions and executions by hanging and executions by firing squad. That was all... Part of those were to deter people from committing crimes that would put them in that position. Just because of how public and how gruesome and how it's like, oh...
Well, I think dying is about as motivating as it's going to be for most people.
Yeah, but I guess everyone wants to die a peaceful death.
It's true, but I think, I don't know. I don't think, like, somebody's going to be like, oh, I want to fucking kill everybody. And they're like, oh, but they're going to publicly hang me. Any more than they would be. I don't think that would be too much more than too much more of a deterrent than just a regular, more humane execution would be.
Yeah, you have a point.
I don't know. Either way, I don't really care. Like, for me, like, I don't care how it is visually or if it's dishonorable to the person. Like, to me, it's like if we, and I don't really believe in the death penalty. If I'm being totally honest with you, I haven't been, convinced of its utility. The only real argument I've heard is that it's, people are really bad, so we have to kill people that are super bad. There are definitely instances where I think people ought to die. Just me putting it bluntly. They're definitely people. They're definitely people who demonstrate such a lack of moral character and zero potential to rehabilitate themselves that I think they ought to be completely, what was I going to say? Isolated from society, like a lot of sex criminals. And I think, I think one time I held the position that death penalty should be an option for certain criminals who would otherwise face life in prison, because I would consider life in prison to be like psychological torture in a weird way.
I don't think
to an extent.
Yeah, I don't think that there are any crimes where the death penalty is mandatory. It's usually a choice between something
really?
like some
seriously?
Some super long sentence and the death penalty. I don't know. It probably varies widely state by state, so I don't really know. Don't quote me.
The only reason why I'm not gonna like double down on this take that I had years ago about this being an option is because it will easily be like weaponized to just manufacture consent for like slave prison conditions. Like that's all it would. That's the only utility that it would actually serve, is that they would just use it as a way to scare people into, basically doing slave labor.
Yeah. I feel similarly. Except my reasoning is more, I don't think that I want my government to have the right to kill people. I think that that's something that's really easily abused, and it's really difficult. And, we make mistakes when sentencing people, and death is it's so final, and there's no way to take back that mistake if you kill an innocent person. And even
we've already seen plenty of innocent people being executed.
And even one innocent person being executed is far too many to justify the government killing people in my eyes. And there's instances where, as individuals, on an individual basis, I won't say that it's always morally wrong to kill someone. Like if you kill someone who raped you or raped a family member, I think that can be morally justifiable. It's just when that is being conducted or condoned by the state, that just gets really tricky.
The thing with me is, and I agree wholeheartedly with pretty much everything that you just said. The thing with me is that I believe that there are circumstances where killing someone is the moral thing to do, but there is almost no human being or government body that I trust to make that call.
Yeah.
Which is why I generally condemn things like murder, is because, like, while yes, there are hypothetical situations where this is a justified thing, I do not believe that any, I don't want to put that. I don't trust anyone to make the decision or make the call.
Yeah.
There's just nobody that I trust to do that. I wouldn't trust myself. I'm not going to kill anybody. If the FBI is listening, I would never in a million years kill somebody. Not because I'm a pacifist or anything, but because I have utilitarian justification for not killing people.
Yeah. And I think the biggest argument for the death penalty in my eyes is, like, if this person is so dangerous and unstable that we can't keep them alive in ethical conditions where they have a good quality of life without them hurting someone, without risking them hurting someone, which is definitely the case. Like, you can't just say, oh, well, we don't do the death penalty anymore, so we're just going to keep you in solitary confinement for the rest of your life so you don't hurt anyone. That's
I
terrible.
think solitary confinement should be abolished.
Yes.
By the way, just putting it out there.
That's it. It's torture. it's a terrible thing.
Yeah,
And I think
that's-
that there's a lot of validity to that argument.
I think, through having this conversation, I think the best way to define cruel and unusual punishment is the objective outcome of doing something rather than the perception or initial like emotional reaction people have when proposing something. For example, like solitary confinement is shown to have devastating impacts, like just absolutely like devastating impacts on people's mental health. It causes it's literally like caused like schizophrenia
Yeah.
in people. Like people have gotten schizophrenia just from solitary confinement for like very short periods of time as well. It's terrible. It's one of the worst things you can go through as a human being. One of the most painful uphill battles you will ever face as a human being. And for that reason, I think it should be considered cruel and unusual punishment. And I think we need to establish not like, you know what I mean? Not a list of things that are considered cruel and unusual punishment, right? Because I feel like that's how a lot of people would address this, but a criteria for what is considered cruel and unusual punishment.
Absolutely.
Not based on the perception or how ugly it is, but based on the amount of like actual human harm is actually being done by this punishment.
Yep. I completely agree.
Yeah. Don't kill people and be nice.
Love
I think that's
everyone.
what the I think that's what the amendment said. The amendment just said be nice.
Yes.
I think if we just said be nice, it would be a lot clearer.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we ready for the 9th Amendment? We're getting close. The 9th Amendment was James Madison's attempt to ensure that the Bill of Rights was not seen as granting the people of the United States only to the specific rights it addressed. In recent years, some interpreted it as affirming the existence of such unenumerated. Is that a word? Unenumerated?
If it's written there, probably.
Yeah. Okay. Unenumerated. I don't know if I'm saying it right. I'm sorry. Rights outside those expressly protected by the Bill of Rights. Now, I might be wrong, but to my memory, this amendment is the one that says basically like rights, like the Bill of Rights isn't all the rights that you're entitled to. However, rights that are not addressed within the Bill of Rights or within the Constitution is matter that's up to the state.
Mm-hmm.
And like individual like smaller governments. Am I right? Is that what that is?
The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people, which is just really weird and vague.
Yeah, it's almost meaningless.
Yeah.
At least to my understanding.
Get rid of it. Don't need it.
Just moving on.
Yep. Fuck you, James Madison.
I'm really fucking stupid. What I just said is what the 10th Amendment is. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Yeah, so any rights that are not addressed within the Constitution are matters for the state to handle.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you to whatever source you're using. But it's definitely an old English situation
Institute.
where...
I'm reading the 10th Amendment, by the way. Was that not clear?
Were we not on the 9th Amendment? Are we on the 10th now?
We were, and then you were just like, skip it, over, done. What I just read was the 10th Amendment.
Okay, we're on the 10th Amendment now. Let's go.
Yeah. So basically, states handle things that are not addressed in the Constitution.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, how do you feel about that?
Yeah. I mean,
Anytime, like, any example that I can think of where this could go wrong, like, my initial response is just like, oh, we'll just put it in the Constitution if we don't want states to handle certain issues, right? Like, for example, the old abortion debate, right? Because, like, you could say, like, oh, I don't like the idea of states banning abortion. And it's like, well, my response to that is, like, we'll just put abortion in the Constitution like everybody fucking wants right now.
Well...
So we don't have to have this, like, statewide fucking... debate.
We can just have it be federal law. It doesn't have to be the Constitution, but yeah. And I think if we're under our current system, it should be protected within the Constitution. Fair enough. Yeah. And I do think, see, the whole libertarian argument is we want all states to have power to make all of their own laws. We hate the federal government and federal laws. But that also creates situations where, like, we are one country. we can just cross each other's borders, no problem. But laws can be radically different from state to state. Like one state, you can be in 1 square mile and you can smoke all the weed you want, and go to the next square mile, and there you can be thrown in prison for years and years of your life for simple possession.
You heard it here first. The anarchist Felonious Ferris loves the federal government. Yeah, no, I agree with you, but at the same time, it's like, so there's like the whole thing. It's like, okay, but the states can individually do bad things, right?
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, but they can also do good things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a matter of like issues that are smaller scale, and not to pretend that like an issue like abortion or marijuana is well, I already said abortion should be in the Constitution. An issue like recreational marijuana usage, right? Like I'm not gonna pretend like an issue of that is like small and not a big deal, but like compared to the things that are addressed within the Constitution, I think it's actually it's an incredibly like modern and just small and less invasive, I guess, a less invasive issue.
Yeah.
And I think issues of that scale are better to be held by the state, by individual states. I'd rather take my chances, roll the dice on, and have some states have marijuana illegal, some of them have it fully legal, than take my chances by allowing the federal government to make that, to make that chance and potentially ban it everywhere. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand.
It's just kind of a strategy. It's literally like a board game.
Yeah.
So that's generally why I believe in like states' rights.
Yeah.
Like generally speaking, at least under our current system, because let's not pretend that any of this shit, like half of the shit we're talking about, would be relevant if we were living in our ideal communist utopia.
Yeah. I think that the whole states' rights thing has been taken too far. Like, there's
100%.
Yeah, it's...
I hate libertarians too, don't get me wrong.
Fuck libertarians, dude.
Fuck them. Fuck all of them. Dumbest motherfuckers on earth.
It feels... And here in Wisconsin, our state government has fucked us all the way up, where we're gerrymandered to shit, and our state Supreme Court is the one that would decide if we're gerrymandered or not, but there's a Republican majority, so of course they're going to agree with the Republican gerrymandering, and our state legislature is just completely transparently corrupt. And, oh god, and there's no way to unfuck this because of states' rights. Just, it feels like it's such an unnecessary complication. So federal government.
But we could also like not even be willing to fight this, or we could also be completely unable to fight this because the federal government slammed their hammer on the table and said, "Nope, fuck you." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So at least the fight is there. You know what I mean? Obviously, ideal. I already said everything I need to say regarding that.
Okay, I'm gonna go water.
Yeah, I'm not even.
Yo.
Yo.
I'm back.
Well, I can't believe it. So, are you about ready to wrap up the Constitution discussion?
Yes.
Okay. So, overall, what's the most important thing, like, takeaway for our viewers that we've discussed? Like, if you could say one thing to our viewers regarding the Constitution and how it ought to be, what would you say?
I think that the founding fathers were obviously extremely wrong about a whole lot of shit, like, slavery. But I think that a lot...
Hot take, I guess.
The hottest. But I think a lot of the moral philosophies that they kind of founded the country based off of are actually really solid.
Yeah.
There's obviously some dumb, outdated shit like the $20 being specified, but overall.
I think we should change it to $19 Fortnite card.
Yes.
I think that would that would make much more sense.
God, I love Fortnite. Yeah.
We got to do a Fortnite video.
Yes. I'd love that.
That would be super fun.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you just said. Like, Constitution bad, but Constitution good.
Yeah.
I think the Constitution. I think working with this current Constitution right now within our current system is sort of just a necessary evil. It's holding us back a lot. It sucks. At times, I get enraged. I'm just like, why do we even have this? But overall, I think it creates a lot of safety nets where if we were to completely rewrite our Constitution and just start from the ground up, I think there'd be a lot of bad things.
Yeah.
I think particularly relating to criminal justice, they've pretty much got it down.
Yeah.
Related to criminal justice. It's just a shame that it's super vague and it's just easily disobeyed.
Yeah. We gotta follow the Constitution more, but we also need to be less afraid of updating it, is what I think.
Maybe we should what if we had a Constitution regarding every single little not every single thing ever, but like what if we had just like a criminal justice Constitution?
Sure.
I feel like that would make a lot more sense, or like a healthcare Constitution. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
or like medicine or medical Constitution. Like that. Why aren't we doing this?
That's a great idea, actually.
You know what? Rather than just like 12 assholes with fucking cool hats deciding everything about our country, why don't we have like a team of medical professionals figure out what we ought, how we ought to handle healthcare fundamentally. People like, I don't know who the fuck would handle the criminal justice shit. That's another thing. But like experts related to certain fields instead of just like assholes with cool hats.
Absolutely.
Determining everything when they don't know shit.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about medicine to write a medicine constitution. I don't know enough about criminal justice to write a criminal justice constitution. Nobody does. But if we had teams of experts, you know what? Fuck it. That's my take. You know what? We figured it out.
We cracked
we figured
the
it
case.
out. That's my opinion. That's my opinion on the Constitution. I don't know how I just pulled that out of my head just now, but that's it.
My
we
mind.
need like 10 constitutions.
It amazes me sometimes.
Yeah. Do we have more? Do we have more to talk about?
Got diagnosed with autism today.
Hey, we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about autism and sushi at the beginning of the next episode, okay? So
woohoo!
Remember, it's actually 2 weeks ago right now. You broke the immersion.
Oh.
This is definitely not part 2. We definitely didn't just splice in a recording from weeks later.
I definitely
starting
didn't.
At the 6th Amendment.
I definitely didn't turn 20 in the time between recording. I was 19 at the beginning, 20 at the end.
Wow. That's crazy.
It's crazy.
Felonious Ferris, where can our listeners find you? Can they find you?
I
forgot.
Yeah. I'm on Twitter at Felonious Ferris. I'm also on Tumblr. If you want to see me talk about cringe anime, I'm on Tumblr. Yeah, I'll eventually probably make an Instagram and eventually Twitch and YouTube, but not right now.
Make a YouTube channel like ASAP, just so I could put you in like featured channels. Because right now it's just Demigloom.
Okay.
Like it looks so stupid.
Okay.
I feel like I'm stealing all the glory.
Okay. I'll make a YouTube channel.
Yeah. I'm Demigloom. Look up Demigloom on YouTube, Spotify, anything. Just if you have an app on your phone with a search function where you could search for a user, I'm on there, okay? And I have the Demigloom username. Unless they say something about claim your sainthood, and like kill everybody. That's fucking Dark Sappo. This guy that's pretends to be me on the internet. That's Dark Sappo. That's the Asian white supremacist who apparently is going to commit a mass shooting in Taiwan. That's not me. I'm not going to commit a mass shooting in Taiwan. That's not me. I'm not even joking, Felonious Ferris.
Oh my
guy
god!
exists. Please.
You attract the most insane haters.
We're going to talk about this guy on a particular episode.
Okay.
But yeah. Yeah, I've been Demigloom.
And I've been Felonious Ferris.